Welcome to our 25-year anniversary and volunteer celebration. We are so excited to have you all here. I know I speak for the whole team when I'm very grateful for all of you. The work that we do with conservation and on a landscape scale throughout the West is only possible because of all of you, our donors, volunteers, supporters. So it's wonderful to see you. You are welcome to share your screen if you would like to have your video on or keep it off, either way. And we do ask that everyone please keep yourself muted until we have a Q&A where you are free to unmute yourselves, just to kind of keep things all going clear. I know we're all probably used to Zoom by now, but and then note that this meeting is being recorded and will be publicly available afterwards. So if you choose to share your screen, just take note of that. And there is a chat. If you navigate to the bottom of your screen, you'll see a chat box. And as you have questions as we go through tonight, feel free to pop them in the chat, and we will be pulling questions from that during Q&A. And feel free to share thoughts as you have them there as well. And if you have any technical issues come up, please just send me a direct message. My name is Sarah W. And I have Sageland and host next to me. So feel free to message me if anything comes up. And I just wanted to also take a moment to note that we are, at Sageland Collaborative, we are located in Salt Lake City. So if you're located around here, we are operating from Ute, Goshute, Paiute, and Shoshone land. Feel free to reach out to any of us on the team to ask us how we're navigating this reality as a conservation organization. But with that, I think we can go ahead and get started. So here is a quick look at our agenda. So we'll first be talking a little bit about the last quarter century. We're excited to be celebrating the last 25 years of wildlife conservation. And after that, you'll be hearing from our project leads for a quick project recap, some of the highlights that happened this year. And then, just got a couple more folks in here. Okay, and then we will be announcing the Volunteer of the Year, which is exciting. You'll also get to meet all the volunteers of the year on each project. And after that, we will have the raffle drawing. So throughout the evening, feel free to pop onto our website and enter our raffle, and we will be reading that off at the end of the night. So with that, I'll hand the mic over to Josh.
All right, thank you, Sarah. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. It's obviously been an eventful year for everybody. It's been a very eventful year for Sageland Collaborative. And as you all know, we're celebrating 25 years, but we're also celebrating a new name. So our name's just over 25 days old, but we've been around for a quarter century, and it's been a great 25 years, and we're really excited about the future for the next quarter century. And just to give an introduction for those of you who don't know of our team, my name is Josh Wood. I'm the executive director. I've been with the organization for just over a year now. Mary Pendergast, our most senior conservation ecologist, is actually on maternity leave right now. So she sends her well wishes, and I'll be summing up her projects later on. So if you have any questions, feel free to send them my way, and I can relay them to Mary if you have them. Janice Gardner's on the call with us, another of our ecologists, and we have a new team member, Rose Smith, who's been with us for a few months now. She's leading our stream program, and of course, Sarah's our communications and outreach director. Good, moving on. So just want to talk about the last 25 years and what we've got going on now and into the future. It's a really exciting time, and it's really fun to share it with you because you help make it happen. We couldn't do it without our volunteers. And so just to go over the name change, most of you, I'm sure, fell in love with the organization Wild Utah Project. And with the name change, just rest assured we are the same organization and we have the same mission. We rebranded and changed our name to really reflect the growth that we've experienced over the last 25 years, the state of the organization now, and where it's going into the future. And I'll talk about that a bit more, but basically it means we've got more to do and even more opportunities to volunteer. So if we hop on to the next one. Yeah, so the name Sageland Collaborative, talking about Wild Utah Project. Our projects have grown beyond Utah. Our Rosie Finch project alone is in states throughout the West. And we've got stream restoration works taking place in southern Idaho. Our projects are really outgrowing Utah's borders, and that's appropriate because habitat doesn't stop at state borders. Obviously, when we're working at landscape level conservation solutions, we need to be thinking about the entire region and even beyond that. So the name reflects the kind of the size of our mission geographically. And the name Sageland really reflects something that really resonates with people throughout the West. It's something that connects habitats throughout the region. And as a lot of people like to say, just saying the word Sageland just kind of brings that smell and that image to mind. And it's something we can all associate with. And the pronghorn in our logo really reflects the work we do, with its range spreading throughout the West from north of our country all the way through Mexico, or northern Mexico, excuse me. And then moving on. And also Wild Utah Project was literally a project. And now we have many projects, many things going on. You'll hear about those things. And there are even more things in the work or in the works going forward. We're working to gather data, to restore habitat, and to help conserve species in conservation need. That's where you come in and help us gather that information and do that restoration work, advance our mission, and it keeps on growing. And of course, collaboration, that's a word that just kind of naturally came to us in this process as we're working with volunteers and people who are helping us brainstorm words that really sum up what we do. And collaborate is something that we do a lot of and do well. We work with volunteer community scientists like yourselves. We work with landowners helping restore streams and track species on that land, working with academic institutions on research so we can really make an impact and really dive into the impact of our work by studying the results. Obviously, government agencies are making a lot of the decisions that our data helps to impact. And then working with other nonprofit organizations who also use our data for advocacy and for highlighting other important needs. We help make their work possible, and also working with community groups throughout the region. So for the next quarter century, as I mentioned, we're really looking at continuing deepening our impact and expanding our reach in terms of our geographic scope, the projects that we have. And we've also realized that in the past, conservation hasn't been as inclusive as it should be. It affects everybody throughout the region. Our work is region-wide, and it affects everybody who conservation affects, and that is everybody. So everybody's voice deserves to be heard. So we're working to include communities throughout urban and rural areas throughout the region, so everybody can get involved and everybody can have a say in these important issues. And obviously working to conserve sensitive species like monarch butterflies you see in the photo there, and then working across landscapes, issues that affect migration corridors and species throughout the region. And talk about landscape level conservation goals. Our major strategic focus areas are promoting habitat connectivity, preserving or protecting species in conservation need, and restoring critical habitat. We do all that, and that happens throughout the West. And we're really excited about the projects that we've developed, how far we've come over the past 25 years, and we're really looking forward to the next 25 years and beyond as we continue this mission and with your help. So we really thank you, and thank you for coming tonight. So now we're going to talk about our projects, and Sarah will introduce the first.
Thank you so much, Josh. So we will first be talking about our Rosie Finch project. Janice Gardner is our conservation ecologist and project lead on this. Turn it over to you.
Yeah, hi all. Thanks for tuning in. So our Rosie Finch project started as a very Utah-centric program, and we rapidly expanded it across the West. And we have many, many wonderful partners on this project, and we just can't do it without everyone pitching in. So you can skip ahead, Sarah. Skip ahead again. In addition to the wide array of partnerships from academics to agency biologists, our volunteers are an essential part of this team, and we really just thank you all so much. So next slide. So the research has three main components. We use RFID technology, which is pretty much the same thing that we pit tag our dogs and cats with to track rosy finches. And we also look at stable isotope signatures in rosy finch feathers to help us understand the full distribution across the West. And lastly, and of course not least, is our volunteer community science feeder counts. This past year, we had nearly 200 people participate in the feeder count surveys and submit over 1,000 feeder count surveys. This far exceeded our expectations, so thank you all so much for your work. And through this work, we're finally able to start closing in on some of the mysteries of rosy finches, which we believe will help us conserve these amazing species, even in the face of uncertainties like climate change. Plus, we've loved getting to know you all and the amazing things that have shown up at your bird feeders. So for example, if you spread bird seed in the shape of a heart, you will get a bouquet of rosies. Get it? And with that, I'm pleased to announce our 2021 Volunteer of the Year. We have had so many excellent volunteers, and Dave Heldenbrand is a shining example. So Dave has been a great contributor of the feeder counts, and what's awesome is that he even went ahead and set up a new feeder location at the Sundance Nordic Center. So Dave, thanks for all that you do and that you've done for us the past year. So I don't know if Dave is online. I just wanted to say hello real quick, but.
I am.
Hi, Dave.
How are you?
We're
Haven't talked in
great.
a while. Yeah, I'll keep it very brief. Actually, the first thing I did with Sageland was a beaver dam project last fall, and then my back started giving me problems. But on that project, I was talking to Janice and found out about the rosy finch project. And so we got a feeder up at Sundance over the winter. And that was, for me, that was really a remarkable experience, just being up there pretty much every week, watching the seasons change, watching the bird behavior, getting to see a lot of birds that we don't see down in the valley. And so I had a great time with it, and I'll be back this winter. We need to talk about some of the details.
Yeah, and we're so excited to have you back for the next season.
Well, thank you for nominating me.
Yes, we're thrilled to have you. And the Rosy Finch project is a unique one because it's a wintertime field season. So for folks looking to get interested, just head to our website. Okay. So I'm also happy to introduce a new project that we're working on here at Sageland Collaborative. We are working to develop a Great Salt Lake wetlands and water birds project, which are of hemispheric importance to entire populations of water birds. So last year we interviewed wetland managers that represent duck clubs, state and federal water bird management areas, nonprofit conservation areas about their greatest challenges and needs in protecting water bird habitat. The recommendations from this report have allowed us to fund several projects, including a study to understand the water supply needs of Great Salt Lake wetlands. And, since we love collaborations at Sageland Collaborative, we've been hosting field trips among wetland managers to promote stronger partnerships among different entities, which then furthers the positive outcomes for our wetlands and water birds. These have been much appreciated, and we will continue these into the future. So next year, we'll unveil a new project related to conservation of water bird habitat, and stay tuned for how you can get involved. So thanks.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Janice. Yes, please visit our website. All of these projects are on there and you can learn how to get involved there. They're all wonderful to get involved with. So, and thanks also to you, Dave. It's wonderful to have you on here, and thank you for all your work. So our next project is our Wasatch Wildlife Watch project. So our team's project lead on this is Mary Pendergast, who is not able to join us tonight. So Josh will be talking about this project. Thank you, Josh.
Absolutely. This is a fun project, and we really appreciate our volunteers on this one because it's quite a commitment. It's about 9 hikes to the camera locations, and some of them can be strenuous to reach. So we really appreciate all your service on that. Thank you. Just to give a little bit of a summary on the project, we've got partners at the University of Utah, with the county, the museum, and with Hogle Zoo. And it's a great collaborative where we can get cameras throughout the central Wasatch and really get a better idea of the wildlife populations and movement, and how recreation and human activity is affecting wildlife, especially in the last couple of years, with more people heading into the mountains. Now, what we're studying is the wildland-urban interface. It's an area where humans intermingle, human development intermingles with undeveloped land. It's about 10% of the contiguous US, but about 33% of the population, and obviously a huge chunk of our population here in Utah, if you are here in Utah. So we have about 1.3 million people, or about half of our population, live in the wild urban interface in this area, and 9 million annual visitors to the area, which is about equal to all 5 of Utah's national parks combined. So a huge number of people are exploring, recreating in the central Wasatch. And so the project focuses on the impact the recreation has on wildlife, but also it helps influence some planning decisions like placement of wildlife overpasses and underpasses to help reduce car and wildlife collisions. This is a great map. If you look closely, you might find your camera location. If you're a volunteer, mine's just right about there in Big Cottonwood. It's as you can see, we have a lot of stations out there, over 1,400 camera sites in the past 3 years, or I guess 4 years if you count 2018, 250 this year. We've had over 10,000 volunteer hours and just 3,000 this year alone. So it's an intensive program. Our volunteers are really committed, and we really appreciate all that effort and all that hiking to make this possible. And as you see, some of the results of all that work, we've had 6 peer-reviewed publications, and more are in review. So the work that's being done by our volunteers is really making a difference. It's getting the data out there and really informing the academic community and planners about wildlife movement in the area. So this is an important project. You play a role in making all this information available widely. So our 2021 Wasatch Wildlife Watch Volunteer of the Year is, I love that picture, Jennifer and Danny Menlove. Congratulations and thank you.
Are you, let's see, I think I saw their
They
name.
are on. Did you want to say a few words?
Sure.
I just want to say thank you for this wonderful, wonderful experience. We've done it. This is our 3rd year, and I want to continue doing it as long as we can. It's so rewarding and so much fun. And that picture is so hilarious.
We love it.
Yeah, it's a good representation of what we're doing out there. Yeah, it's been fun. I wouldn't change anything.
Yeah, it's good to know that what we're doing and what everybody is doing here is going to make a difference. That's really awesome.
Thank you very much.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you. It's so good to meet and see everyone, your faces. I see a lot of names and lists, so it's really fun to get to see you all. So our next program that we're going to be going over is our stream and riparian restoration program. So our project lead on this project is Rose Smith, who's the newest to our team, and we've just loved having her. So thank you so much, Rose.
Thank you, Sarah, and thank you all for being here on Zoom for this celebration. I really appreciate it. So by the numbers together this year, we've built 323 beaver dam analogs, and that accounts for 200 volunteers spending over 1,500 hours in 2021 alone. And we started building beaver dam analogs in 2019. And since that time, we've built about 500 in streams across Utah, across northern Utah largely. And research has shown that these low-tech structures are very effective at restoring riverscapes for many different reasons, but we can all agree that beaver do a better job than us humans, no matter how busy we are. And I like to say there's no stamp of approval like the slap of a beaver's tail. So, sorry. It's true. So there are a handful of our sites actually that we restored in 2019 and 2020. We are now seeing beavers return. In a couple of instances, beavers actually have returned through natural dispersal. So they found our sites after we built the BDAs. And in one instance this year, we put posts in for our beaver dam analogs, and the beavers found the post before the volunteers did. So that is our, this picture on the right here. This is in East Canyon Creek. And the beaver said, "Oh, thanks very much for your posts. I'd like to just fill that in for you." And the image on the left is actually a site where we helped introduce beavers. So that was another highlight of 2021. We had an opportunity through partnerships with the Department of Natural Resources to help introduce beavers who were trapped elsewhere in places that were less welcoming to them. And we released them into our restored sites. And you can see both on this image on the left, and then if you advance the slide, Sarah, then we'll see. So these are some images from the beaver release. So we released 5 at once, and in this same drainage, the beavers have established in one fork of the drainage where we'd restored, and we released them in another area. And what we've heard so far, so good. They're doing okay. And yeah, it's just such a cool experience to be able to kind of collaborate with wildlife in this way. So yeah, with that, I guess the next thing I'd like to point out, this is kind of another little cool outcome, was sometimes we build beaver dams and analogs and we don't really see much change over time. And then other times nature puts them to the test. So this was an example down in the Price River watershed, where our BDAs experienced a flash flood. So 6 months after they were or about a year after they were installed, we had a really big monsoon season. And what you can see on the left here is an image of the BDAs about 6 months after they were installed in April of 2021. And then following 4 large flash floods, you can see what that stream looks like. And as a stream ecologist, I can tell you that this river is doing exactly what it's supposed to do. The beaver dam analogs let the water slow down enough so that during the storm, actually like cobbles and sediment fell out of the water column and filled in the bottom of the stream bed. So we have gone from a very narrow, kind of uncomplicated stream to a widened channel with lots of complexity. And that's what we love to see. So we like it when we like floods because they do their work for us in terms of regrading and improving the habitat. But we built more than just beaver dam analogs this year. We built community, we built friendships, and we just want to thank you all for all of the time you put in and all the smiles that you've put on our faces. So with that, I'd like to also acknowledge our wonderful partners. In addition to all of our volunteers, we've had great partnerships with the Department of Natural Resources, Trout Unlimited, another nonprofit, Swanner Preserve and Eco Center has been a great partner, as is Basin Recreation up in the Park City area. And we also have several private landowners who have been wonderful partners and have allowed us to do this work on their land. So we just really appreciate that. But now it's time for the volunteers of the year. So first, we actually have 2 volunteers of the year for this program because we had so many great people and we couldn't decide. So Brian Pham and Sierra Hastings are both volunteer of the year. Brian says he's not able to attend tonight, so I'll just read his quote. "For me, this project is a project of optimism. It recognizes just how much we've damaged these ecosystems, and then it takes that awareness and turns it into a message of hope that together we can come together and tackle these problems." Thank you so much, Brian, for all of your energy and community building spirit that you brought to these projects. And then Sierra, I'll let you speak for yourself if you're here. But thank you so much for signing up for all of the events that you could possibly sign up for this year. I think that you probably broke a record.
Oh gosh, it is so much fun getting to work with Sageland Collaborative as well as with Swanner on these projects. I volunteer up at Silver Lake in the summer, and I get to talk to people about beavers and show them the beaver dams from far away. But getting to actually get in the stream and be a beaver is amazing. It's an amazing experience getting to do that, and then seeing the instant effects that this project has. It's really unlike any other volunteer project that I've taken part of. So I'm very grateful for the opportunities that Sageland presents, and I can't wait for tomorrow to get back into the stream, build some more beaver dams. But yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Sierra. We couldn't do it without you either.
Perfect. Thank you so much. It's so fun to see all the impacts on that project since it's so on the ground. It's really cool to see. So thank you for sharing and thanks for coming, Sierra. So our next project is our Boreal Toad project. And this is another one that Mary Pendergast leads on our team. And I will be presenting in her place. So I love this project. So this is one that we work with a lot of different partners on, from the Department of Natural Resources to the Hogle Zoo. We're very grateful for so much support locally for this work. So boreal toads, if you are familiar with the species, have experienced population declines in recent years. And that's due to a number of things, from development to climate change to a fungus called chytrid, which is disturbing a lot of amphibian populations right now. But what our volunteers do is they go out and they either bring a toad bucket or just a data sheet, and they check sites that we think that boreal toads might have historically been, or that we have found. And they look for these lovely little creatures. So this year we were able to conduct over 150 site visits, which is amazing to think of. A lot of these are out either up in kind of higher alpine areas, or sometimes out in places you would not expect, among the sage, to go with our Sageland theme. And we were also able to document 25 active boreal toad breeding habitats, which is exciting. And part of that work is getting to see toadlets. And one of our partners on this project at the zoo is working on raising and reintroducing toadlets to some of the areas that we are part of monitoring. So I just thought I'd include a couple of toadlet pictures for our well-being during COVID things and while being virtual. So these were all seen out in the field. The first and third pictures was a place that had just a whole lot of toadlets, which you don't get to see a lot of, so it's a pretty special. And I am just honored to introduce our 2021 Boreal Toad Volunteer of the Year. Need a little drum roll, I feel like. So that is Josh Carter. So Josh has been doing a lot of film volunteer work for us, and we are really grateful for all the time that he spent. He's not only been wielding the camera and doing the storytelling magic that he does, but he's also spent hours and hours out there looking for toads to film. So we cannot thank him enough. I think I saw him on here. Josh, would you like to pop on and say a few words?
Yeah, sure. Thank you. I didn't expect this since I was just doing videos, but I'm grateful for the opportunity I've had to do some videos with Sageland and do some work in spreading awareness and sharing the stories and sharing the projects. Yeah, it's been really fun. I'm excited to do more videos. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you. We're excited for that too. He's also done a Rosie Finch video for us, so go check that out. Yep. Thank you so much. Okay, and we're excited to move to our last project, I believe. So this is our Plants and Pollinators project. Again, one that Mary has established. Thank you so much, Josh, for going over this.
Absolutely. Thanks, Sarah. And the project is an important one. I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with the huge declines in pollinators, specifically western bumblebee and monarch butterfly. And so during these huge declines, the project works to document how many there are, where they are, and how they're moving. And so we can help to identify and even create more habitat for them to survive. So for the project, our community scientists are hugely important because it's such a widespread survey area. So we have volunteers all over the state, throughout the region, and we exceeded our goals this year, which were pretty ambitious for numbers of surveys, number of volunteer hours. And we had some sightings of western bumblebees. I think last year we were reporting we saw a surrogate species and we were super excited, but we documented them in 4 different locations this year. So that's really exciting. And this data is really important. And we're also working with other partners in constructing kind of pollinator way stations, particularly along the Jordan River corridor as part of our habitat work, restoring streams in the area and working on pollinators. The Big Bend site is another project of ours that we're working on with several partners. So if you're interested in the Salt Lake area, then there's plenty to do out there. And so as the animation dramatically pops up, our 2021 Plants and Pollinators Volunteer of the Year is Natasha Haddon. Thank you and congratulations.
Let's see. I think I see that you're on here. If you would like to hop on, you're welcome to, Natasha.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes. I love your background. That's amazing.
Yeah, thank you guys for the opportunity of being part of the Utah Pollinator Pursuit Project. We have a huge collaboration and partnership here in the Uinta Basin, and so this project has allowed our data to become a part of a larger collective group of data, which is helping us to inform us on the declining pollinator populations and habitat. And so it's really an integral part of our conservation for these species across the state. And so citizen science and statewide collaboration at its finest, for sure. So thank you for that opportunity. And actually this year we caught a western bumblebee at one of our sites. So it's pretty awesome.
Wow.
Yeah, so we've had a lot of collaboration, a lot of partnerships to make this, to collect all this data here in the Uinta Basin. So thank you.
Thank you. Wow, we have one of the very few sightings here with us. That's awesome. Thank you so much for being part of this work.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. So we now have a few minutes for questions. So all of the questions that you've been dying to ask our team, now is the time. You can either pop them in the chat or you are welcome to unmute yourself and start your video if you would like or not and ask a question. So we'll just, oh, we've already got a question here. So we have a question from Lisa who says, what are the geographic borders of the Wildlife Camera Project? So I'll go ahead and answer that, and then if the rest of the Sageland team wants to pipe in, feel free. So right now, and for the last few years, it's focused on the Wasatch area specifically, so along the Wasatch Mountains, but we are looking and hoping to be able to expand this throughout Utah, maybe beyond in coming years. So any other thoughts that other folks would like to add? Okay, awesome. Let's see. Any other questions folks have? Feel free to unmute yourselves. Okay, I'm not seeing any. Oh, I do want to point out very quickly. So landowners that we work with was mentioned earlier, and we have one of them here tonight with us. So thank you for being with us, Leo. It's wonderful to have you. Okay, we have a couple other questions. So Alex says, any surprising findings come out of this year's findings that you were not expecting? Janice or Rose, I think might be the best to answer this.
From the
Yeah, we
stream.
had on the Rosie Finch project, we had a few feeder count sites that have never had Rosie Finches reported, and people put up some feeders and started documenting Rosie Finches. So that's pretty cool.
I think in the streams project, just the amount of beaver activity is always surprising. Like, we don't take for granted that the beavers take over our sites so effectively. So every time that happens, it's kind of a thrill.
And we have a little video we just released yesterday. If you want to see the beavers up close, our team is all a little bit in love with beavers. So if you are too, you should go watch it. Wonderful. We have a question from Marty about the pollinator project, Josh. So Marty says, do you collaborate with Utah Friends of Monarchs on the project?
I'm not sure that we do, actually. I'll have to double check with Mary, but that's a good question. Do you know, Janice?
Yeah, I think we have, Mary has got good relationships with kind of all of the pollinator and monarch butterfly advocates, and I believe that some of them are participating on the project.
Wonderful. Okay, so we have a question from Joe Donaldson, who's on our board. So Joe says, what are some of the cool upcoming projects? Oh, let's see, just lost it. You are looking at that volunteers can get involved in? It's a great question. Janice, if you want to talk about your upcoming project.
Yeah, the Great Salt Lake Wetlands and Waterbirds project, like I said, is evolving, and using volunteer community scientists like you all is like one of our peers that that we really value in our project. So there will be opportunities there. And there's also the herp fauna project that is the herp search that's starting up. So for those of you that maybe are into reptiles and amphibians in the region, that is a great way to start logging observations from those species, which really need our help too. So that's a new project that's coming online in 2022.
Yeah.
We also have some exciting work on the Jordan River evolving in 2022. So that will look like probably to start some pollinator work and pollinator kind of surveys in that area. And then it will evolve from there to become kind of more of a Jordan River wide project. And there are many different restoration projects kind of already underway along the Jordan. And so we're starting to spin up some different ways to get volunteers involved with that as well.
Yeah. And if you are looking to get involved just in the coming months, we do still have a few stream dates on the calendar that you can sign up for. We also have our image analysis part of our Wasatch Wildlife Watch that is happening. So that one you can join anywhere with a computer. So that's kind of a neat one if you're across the country or wherever you are. And so that involves going through the photos that our wildlife cameras get and identifying what wildlife are in those photos to support mapping for conservation planning. So that's a pretty cool project. And then also Janice's Rosie Finch project is coming up soon. So if any of those sound interesting, again, hop on our website and sign up to hear about upcoming trainings and everything you need to know. And then we have a really lovely question from Sierra, who says, given no budget or time restraints, what would your dream project be to put on with Sageland?
Mine would be to get rid of all the Phragmites on the Great Salt Lake and secure all the water rights and have birders and waterfowl hunters all contributing to water bird monitoring and habitat restoration.
I would probably do a couple things. I would have on a couple or as many watersheds as I could that we just release beavers into and let them do their thing and find money to adapt around them. Also just restoring the Fremont cottonwood lined rivers of southern Utah would be a dream.
Perfect. Cool. We could spend forever talking about that, I feel like. So thank you for that question.
Yeah, like Rose said, just a matter of scale. I'd like to see streams everywhere being restored. Wasatch Wildlife Watch, those cameras all over the West, along all the major roads in the state and beyond. Just doing more in more places, which is related to our vision for the future and our new name.
Yeah. Perfect. Okay, we have a question from Marty about finding out whether they have a good site to participate in the Rosie Finch project. So how do people learn details of that project, Janice?
Yeah, you know, if any home bird feeder, no matter where you are, is a great candidate for the feeder count. So even if you don't think you have Rosie Finches, if you have a home bird feeder or a bird feeder at a nature center that you like to visit, that's a good site.
Oh, I just see that you answered that in the chat. Thanks, Janice.
I can answer Steve's question about interesting human sightings on cameras that are fit for a PG audience. Well, for privacy reasons, the human photos go into a dark box that can never be seen again. But if you do the camera image analysis, you do get to see some. And I loved that I saw some of our partners at the Tracy Aviary doing bird surveys in Alta, and they showed up on our Wasatch Wildlife Cam. So that was kind of funny.
To tag along that, one of my camera sites was right near a very busy trail. So it's really interesting all day long seeing human going by, and then the sun goes down and the deer and moose start wandering through. So it's really fun seeing us take turns on the trails and be polite about it.
Yes. We have a question from Joe who we talked a little bit about this at the beginning, but Josh, if you want to just kind of recap or summarize for anyone who hopped on late, he's curious about the process of identifying the new name of Sageland Collaborative, just kind of an overall look at that.
Yeah, we went through a lot of names, and it's so easy to come up with the 400-word acronym that will spell out I love nature, because you want to be really descriptive about all the things we do, and we wanted to avoid that, but we still want to be descriptive of what we do and our mission and the region where we work. And so we were just talking about all kinds of different landscapes. We talked about mountains, we talked about streams, habitat, and a lot of names were good candidates. And Sageland Collaborative was one of 5 finalists. And we had a series of focus groups of volunteers and partners and people who didn't know us, so we can kind of get the impression. And Sageland Collaborative was just the runaway winner. Somebody, I'm not even sure who it was, but in our discussion, somebody mentioned sage and Sageland. And I think we talked about sagebrush, and it just evoked the region, just kind of connects these islands of mountains, these different habitats, and it just had kind of a feel about it more than just a meaning. And so that name came about, and I think we just kind of stumbled upon the word collaborative. I think we had another word like collective or something like that in mind, and someone accidentally said collaborative, and it just made sense because that's what we do. And so just through all these discussions, just trying to encapsulate what we do in a vague enough way that will encapsulate more for future growth, we came about that. And it's a process that was really nice to explore and just kind of be reminded of what we do and our mission and the huge area that we have to work with.
Yeah. And I think that Josh might have mentioned this in his part of the presentation, but we did have a lot of feedback from folks that we talked to, some of whom are here with us, that the word Sageland just brings up the smell of lands that we love. And I think that's true. I have not stopped thinking about that since that volunteer mentioned that. It is, yeah, it really, I don't know, we all love these landscapes, and to have the symbol of the pronghorn as well with movement across our beloved West. Yeah, it's been a really lovely process to try to represent that. Let's see. Okay, I don't see any other questions. So let's move on to our big announcement of our Volunteer of the Year overall for this year. This person does not know who they are. And let me go forward. So Sierra Hastings is our Volunteer of the Year. You got to hear from her on the stream program a little bit, but we are just so grateful for all of the work that you've done, all the hours you've spent out in the mud and the water, pounding those posts. If you've been out with us on the stream program, you all know how like wielding those mallets is a feat. Digging in the mud, moving rocks around, it's a lot of work. So thank you so much for all of your work here, and for signing up for so many projects. Like we mentioned again, these projects, again, just to all of you, are only possible because of all of your wonderful support, whether physically being on projects or donating or supporting in other ways. So thank you so much. And Sierra, if you want to say anything else, you are more than welcome to pop back on for a moment.
Thank you so much. That is very kind. I'm like trying not to cry. It really is just so much fun getting out and doing these projects. And I recently started working a job that allows me a little bit more time to get out in the field and do these things. And I'm very interested in doing all of the other projects, but starting with the Beaver Dam analogs and getting to work with everyone at Sageland and at Swanner, it's just been so great. And honestly, like, I will take a day hanging out in the stream and playing with mud any day. So thank you so much. This is so kind.
Thank you. And we are feeling the same way. It's very emotional. We're just really grateful for our volunteers. So thank you.
Thank you so much.
And now we have, we're moving into our other moment that we've all been waiting for. So our drawing for our raffle. So let's give everyone just a minute or two. If you have not entered the raffle and you are wanting to, I'm going to put that link back in the chat just so you have an opportunity to hop on. Let's see here. Okay, so there is the link. Again, folks have been entering our raffle through either sharing a post and tagging us that talks about wildlife conservation, or donating $25 for 25 years of conservation. So thank you all for entering. And I'll hand it over to Josh to talk a little bit about the prizes that we have, and then we will draw in just a couple minutes.
All right, thank you, Sarah. And thanks to the people who have donated to our raffle. Thanks everyone who donated the actual raffle prizes and everyone who entered either through mentioning us on social media or for donating. We really appreciate your support. We have a variety of prizes from artwork, which the glare doesn't show, but it's beautiful woodcut art and watercolor. We've got a handful of outdoor gear prizes from Cool, and we've got a handful of great books about the Great Salt Lake, which our friends at Great Salt Lake Institute have donated. And of course, our grand prize, the Alta package, a couple one-day passes and nights and meals at the Peruvian Lodge. And so that's what we have on tap.
Awesome. Does anyone need any more time? Is anyone trying to enter and need a minute? Feel free to just say it or put it in the chat. Okay, I think we're good to go, Josh.
Okay, so we will start with some artwork. We've got some woodcut art by Joe Donaldson and Margie Nash, and this goes to Rhea Cohn.
Oh, yay, Rhea.
And then we'll stick with the artwork category. Another woodcut, another beautiful piece. And this one goes to Mark Coles Ritchie. Thank you very much for donating or entering. And another piece, artwork here, another woodcut. This goes to Rebecca Wallace. And in the art category, one last piece, which is really prettier than the glare on my screen. This goes to Georgie Corkery.
Woohoo! That
Thank
art
you
is
very much.
so amazing. Congrats, everyone.
Congratulations on that. We're now going into the Great Salt Lake book category. We've got 5. I'm going to count on my fingers so I don't mess this up. 1 goes to Scott Gagan. Another to Robert Keller. 1 to David Comer. And 1 to Emily Strong. And if I've been counting right, 1 to Dana Patterson.
Woohoo!
Thank you all very much. We'll reach out to you and get your address so we can get these prizes out to you. And then we have 5 cool gear items. There are a variety of them. I'll mention the names, I guess, Sarah, and then we'll get those out to people. Those people are Kathleen Fraser, Daniel Jones, Rob and Nancy Tolley. Let's see here. Jessica Kirby and Jennifer Gooden.
Woohoo! I'll just be the little like clapper representative.
And I know Jennifer entered just in the last few minutes, so congratulations. And so that leaves our grand prize, the Alta package, and that goes to Denise Simpson.
Woo!
Congratulations, everybody. And thank you again for entering. We really appreciate your support, and we're glad we could do something fun to celebrate. We wanted to do an in-person big bash, but we wanted to be safe as well. So thank you for joining us online and for working with us on this modified format.
Yeah. Yay, congratulations. Yeah, like Josh said, we will be reaching out to get your addresses. Yeah, congratulations again. So we just want to, again, I don't know if we could say thank you enough times to encapsulate how we feel, but thank you so much for making this work possible. Again, it really is your donations, your time volunteering, and your sharing our work with friends and family, and your partnerships. We have partners here as well that make all of this possible. So thank you for being here, not only tonight, but for all of these projects and through the last 25 years. And we hope to keep seeing you through the next quarter century. Okay, well, with that, yeah, thank you again. Here is all of our contact information. Feel free to reach out anytime. We love hearing from you. We love to hear about your experience this year as well, any feedback you have or thoughts. But yeah, thank you again, and thanks for joining us.
Thank you for allowing volunteers of the public to be involved.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.